Hi, this is Janie Donaldson Mullen from Quilt Central Academy. I want to talk to you a little bit about the A1 products. We don't see a lot online about it, but this is a 28-year-old company and they build a rock solid machine. I mean, this is like a 30 to 50-year professional machine. So I'm going to talk to you about their line of products. They have two frames. They have an elite frame that's heavy duty steel with hydraulics on it, and we'll get you some pictures of that in the next video. And we're going to talk today about their medium gauge steel frame, which is called the Symphony frame, and then the setup that goes on that. They also have two sizes of heads. They have a 23-inch reach, which is very well balanced, and a lot of professionals that compete use that length because there's no vibe. Their claim to fame is how smooth the ride is. And they also have a 31-inch, which you would probably buy if you were computerized and in production of some sort of a product, so that you could just run rows and rows of that product out. They have a computer that fits on it, and it's a very reasonably priced computer. And so we'll talk to you about that, because you can add the computer to anything, because both their sizes of machine heads are computer ready. The ports are built on and everything else. But let's first talk about the frame that I'm standing near. And this is a Symphony frame, medium gauge steel, powder coated, has clamps that come with it. It comes with a carriage, but you can have lots of different size heads that fit on this. So you can get different styles of carriages. So if you're trying to outfit an old machine head that you have and get rid of an old wooden frame and upgrade to a metal one, this is a great one. The side ends set in and out for length of the head. So if you had a 26-inch head, you could move this out a couple of notches and it'll suit that. Or if you have a shorter one, you can move it in. It has a top bar that's called a batting access bar, which raises, and you can access the batting and get a wrinkle out. It has legs that are sleeved, so that one square tube goes inside of another one. It has a whole row of pins on it, so you can drop the leg down to the height that you want and put the pin through, and it'll just be the perfect height for you. Try to set it up so that the top roller is just above your waist, because then you have your arms in a more relaxed position and you have a better view of the surface that you're trying to quilt. And so this is a really good solid frame. The tubing that is holding the quilts and the leader cloth is actually a little bigger than normal. They've had this made special for the A1 company, so this particular product is made to their specifications and you can't get it anywhere else. So this frame has a crank on the end to raise and lower the bar that goes through the throat of the machine, and that is so when the roller fills up, and that's called the pickup roller, when it fills up with fabric that you've already quilted, you can raise it up off the bottom of the machine but still keep the fabric level, so that you can have a nice stitch quality as you go. So that also means that one end is free of all the gizmos that you might need for frame adjustment, so you could shove one end right up to the wall, and it's a space saver because you only have to access the one end. So there's a really lot of things about this particular Symphony frame that is a wonderful frame. And now we'll talk about the head and a little bit about the screen. So we'll have you take a look here. This comes with a 7-inch screen, and you could upgrade a little bit bigger to the 10, and this is the 10. And in the screen there's a whole lot of things about this. Actually, it's a tablet. So a tablet will go Wi-Fi, which is a beautiful thing these days, because if you have an issue, a technician can log on to the screen and take a look and run diagnostics on it and figure out what the error message might be all about if you had one. So this is a really great leap in our industry, is to have the screens become Wi-Fi. It'll reach out for updates and such as that, so then if there's a new button to be obtained, it'll just come to you. So that's a beautiful thing. So if I tell you a little bit about what's in the screen, here is the stitches per inch, and it is a very accurate stitch per inch because this has a servo motor on it, which is the fastest one in the industry, so there's no coasting like brush motors coast a little bit. But this one, if it says 10, you're going to get 10. It has also a needle up and needle down, so it'll have down or up, and every single time that you stop it will do that. And then these buttons on the bottom, green, red, yellow, blue, relate to the button colors that are here on the handlebars, green, red, yellow, blue, and you can program them to whatever you want. I've got it set up for a righty right now, so this button is a start-stop symbol, this up and down, this halfway down and halfway up, and this is a tie-off button. But if I wanted to reverse those, I can, if you're a lefty, or if you're renting your machine out, you can change it, and you can set up to 5 profiles and leave them. So if you have a quilt shop and all the clerks use this, and they can customize the buttons to suit themselves, and then they can save that, and it'll save up to 5. So that's kind of a neat thing. Under the light, it's a white light, a black light, and a laser light to follow patterns in the back. The white light also has a dimmer on it, and I'm actually not going to demonstrate that because the camera is blinded by it. So then it has a file folder, so I have a built-in calculator, advanced settings, save settings, and then my built-in diagnostics, which the customer doesn't need to get in there unless they have a technician on the phone that wants you to coast through that. But you are typically, a tech can get to these screens without anything else. I guess I could do the calculator, because this is where you might figure how many repeats you want across. It also has under the needle, if you can have it obey the command for up or down, not obey it at all. You can add a tie off every single time you stop. So this is sensitivity of the needle. And then this over here is how many tie-offs. 4 is what I like, so I'm just going to leave it there. And then I have a timer on it, and this is a very cool thing, because a timer is, if you buy one of these and put it on a payment plan, you probably can rent it out. If you are quilting professionally, you'll make money that way, but if you want to have somebody else make your payments for you, you can rent this out by the hour, $25 an hour, and there's a timer here, so then it'll run while there's quilting being done, and the customer, there's never any argument about how much time that they actually owe you for. The stitch counter's on here ahead of its time. If you get the computer, the stitch counter will make sense in the future, because this machine's computer is actually beginning to take embroidery files, so we'll see a little change in our industry as that comes along. This little people button here, this is where I can change and customize the 5 different profiles for different buttons. So I can have a righty and a lefty. I could set one up for my sister and my friend Manuela. Here's a tape measure, so it measures from top to bottom, side to side, and also diagonal. I don't know another machine that does the diagonal, and that's really worth a lot when you are doing borders and corners and you got a butterfly in the corner and you want to see how tall it is, and it's turned to go around the corner so that you can make the straight border part, the butterfly is the same height. So it's worth it for a lot of computer work. And the wreath that's on here is actually, so I don't have a computer on this one, but if I did, all the computer screens would be under that particular pattern, that feathered wreath. And so also here on the screen, Elite Mode is totally stitch regulated. This one has the fastest encoders on them, and they are will pick up the needle really fast, and the chips that are on this really respond quick. And then in this mode is called Cruise, and Cruise is half stitch regulated and half not. So in high speeds it's stitch regulated, and low speeds it's in manual mode, which means the stitch regulators are turned off, and you get to set the threshold where it changes. So when it drops down to 30% of what it can do, then I will drop out of stitch regulated mode and into the manual mode. And that way because the pro likes to do the big swoopy things in stitch regulated mode, and then little tiny meandering around whatever they just stitched, they like to do that without the stitch regulators on, and so then it'll be in the manual mode. And then there is a manual mode you can switch to. That's for thread painting and longer stitches. And sometimes if you are meandering all day, it's a quieter mode for the machine. So if you're meandering a great big queen size quilt, you might want to run in that. It has B for based. That's really cool too. So you can see that it's set for 3 stitches per inch, so you can baste a baggy area out of a quilt. So you spread out the bagginess, baste across it, spread it out again, baste the other way across, and then you can sew your pattern on top the regular way, and then you could still get those great big stitches out from underneath. So that's a really cool thing. But most of the time we sew in elite mode, and that's why the button is actually bigger, is because to indicate that's where we usually are all the time. This particular head, let me tell you a little bit about how it's made. The casting is made by the Amish in Missouri, and then the casting goes over to the machine shop and they machine out with CNC machine the inside of the casting and for balance, and they do all the screw holes and everything in it. So this is well balanced. You know, if you get a really long machine, like let's say over 26 inches, sometimes there's a little wag in the tail, but this is set at 23. So there's no wag in the tail at all. Everywhere you pull the machine, it goes right there. So it's an easy one to back over your own stitching and put that needle exactly where you want. The accuracy makes it so that a lot of the professional competitors buy this machine because they know how easy it is to control. It has on it the fastest motor. Slow motors go, let's say 1,800 to 2,200 stitches per minute. Those are usually brush motors. This has a servo, which is a magnetic motor on it, and it'll go 3,000 to 4,000. So it's an amazing machine because you won't outrun it. The needle comes out of the fabric quicker, it won't hold you up. Your stitch quality is good at high speeds. A lot of cool things. Then the handlebars are the last thing I'll talk to you about a little bit. These are very cool because they're jointed, and I can move actually double jointed. So I can move these way down here to the bottom near the needle, really close, so that I can do that tiny little micro stippling or micro meandering there, and not and have the great control over the needle because my hands are very close to it. So the A1 actually is sold as a package, which is an interesting thing because when you buy a bundle or a package with a long arm, you usually get a better price. There's a lot of companies out there that now sell a la carte, and if you aren't careful, you might be missing something very important because you don't have a machine yet, so don't really know what you need. So that's, and I got a little list here because I'm going to read it to you, all the things that come on this. So, because there's a lot. So it comes with a 23-inch machine head and a 7-inch screen, and it comes with programming already preloaded on it. It is stitch regulated, has needle up, needle down, has a batting access bar or pivot. It has also a batting bar underneath. It comes with its own tabletop bobbin winder. It's not one that's on board, but it sits on another table, has its own motor, and lasts, seems like forever. Comes with 15 bobbins, extra packages of needles, 6,000 yards of thread, oil T-pins, manual, laser light for the back. It comes with the back handlebars, and I mention that because a lot of companies now are not including back handlebars unless you pay extra. It comes with a magnetic pin holder, and it has, like I said, the adjustable height, and the cranks and the levelers and everything are all included with it. Side clamps and the whole works. So this one, you won't be wishing for anything extra for this one. There is casters available. That's one accessory. That's an aftermarket product for it. You could buy leader grips, which is another aftermarket product which makes a pinless system so you don't have to pin to the leader cloths. So there's always a few more gizmos that are aftermarket products, but as far as the A1 product, this is a really complete package, and you will love it. It lists at right around $13,000 without the computer, and like I said, it's $6,000 to add the computer. So if you're interested in this, give me a call. I can give you some more details, and we are at 608-563-4415, and that's Quilt Central Academy.